What's up, Lauren?
Hi, Ryan.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Are we about to podcast?
We're about to podcast.
Do people say that? I think they say that, right? It's a verb now. Like we are going to podcast.
Yeah. Podcasting. Okay. I am podcasting.
I am podcasting.
Yes.
Awesome. And what is the name of our? So this is obviously episode 1, right?
Episode 1.
And the name of our podcast is
Too Much in Common.
Too Much in Common.
How did we get that name, Ryan?
Well, it's because we literally have too much in common.
We do have a lot in common.
But we don't we don't want to, confuse the viewers and or listeners that this is only about relationships, because this podcast will be a lot about fitness, health,
a lot about fitness,
some science here and there.
Ryan loves the science.
Yes, which you'll find out today because of what we're going to go through here soon. But it's also there will be some relationship stuff like friendship, family, and, this kind of relationship.
Lots of activities too.
Yes.
So activity ideas, gym ideas, all the things.
Yeah. So we're going to definitely keep it pretty broad at first, but we'll find the niche. We'll do what we got to do, and we'll talk about what people want to hear about.
Yeah, that's
kind
true.
of the goal. Because
we're taking it one step at a time and seeing where we kind of land.
Yeah, because Lauren and I have both listened to a lot of podcasts.
So many.
A lot. And we still do. On a weekly basis, I probably listen to 2 to 3.
Especially when I'm doing cardio.
Yeah.
Like when I'm deep into cardio, so many podcasts. Yeah. Oh, God.
So we definitely have that experience, and that's kind of why one of the reasons why we've wanted to start one, right?
Yeah.
And we've been talking about this for a while.
I tried to start one in 2018.
There you go. Solo Lauren project.
Yes. Yeah. So now it's coming to fruition.
Yeah. So, but now we're doing it. We've done some practice ones. Mm-hmm. Here we are, episode 1. And what we want to do for you guys is we're both going to kind of talk about who we are, right? Like, I know who you are, but they don't know who we are.
We got to get them to fall in love with us.
Okay. It's a bit aggressive, but we see what we got to do.
Uh-huh.
But basically, we're going to go through kind of why we want a podcast, why you should trust us, right? Because that is a problem, I think, nowadays.
And like our experience as well, all the things.
Like giving out fitness and health advice is, people just do it now. Like it's no problem, just depending on how they look or these sort of things.
Not very much so backed by research too. So.
That's the point. Yeah. So
that's why you're here.
That's why we're both here. So we want to give you the reasons why we are, in our opinion, and hopefully yours, qualified to do a podcast like this.
I feel like some of my advice will be like, because it just fucking works.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's anecdata, and that is a big part of sports medicine and health and exercise science. Because
what works for us might not always work for everybody else.
Yeah. But there's just not enough research out there. And even if there is, it's like a small subject design, and it's people who aren't trained. We'll get into all that. But yes, sometimes the subjective experiences or like what works for you is the most powerful thing. And that's why we can try to help people with that. It's like, hey, this worked for me. Maybe it will work for you if you're similar to us.
Especially with like little mindset and consistency things and like motivation things. Like, I don't think we're going to be breaking out any research papers behind that. Maybe some, but like.
we'll tie some research depending on the topic, but yeah.
Sure.
All right. So I will start because it's usually ladies first, but you wanted me to go.
I don't want to go first.
Okay. So I'll give you my quick background, which is basically I went to CSU, Fort Collins, Colorado, and I did a bachelor's degree in sports medicine or health and exercise science, right? And then I went to a master's program for toxicology. So it's kind of all over the board. Obviously, with the focus was on health and exercise science. And then I went to medical school by accident, is like I like to say that. I went to medical school and I did that for 3 years. So I got, the bang for my buck kind of thing. I was 75% of the way to being a doctor. And honestly, just long story short, maybe we'll get into that another time, but it was not for me. But through that journey, I did learn a lot about just health in general. And I do think that experience I can share with other people. I'm not going to be giving medical advice, obviously. But in general, I do understand like anatomy, physiology.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you learned in medical school that you like constantly bring up.
I can apply it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my background. And I'm also a certified strength and conditioning specialist, which is CSCS for short. It's just basically a personal training certificate, but it's a little bit higher level. You have to have a bachelor's degree in a health and exercise science field. And then as far as training experience, I mean, it's probably been, I started in like 2008, like strength training roughly. So that's a long time because it's 2024 now, right? So I do have a lot of training experience for myself under my belt. And then about the past 10 years, I've trained mostly friends and family as my clients, I'll say. But now more recently, I have started my own company, and
Shameless plug. What's your company, Ryan?
What? No, we're not going to shameless plug
Why
in the first
not?
episode. No. Maybe later. But I
Fine.
have started my own company, and I have a handful of clients there as well. So I do nutrition, and I write programs and train them as well. So training experience for myself, long. Training experience for clients, friends, family, long. So, and through that, obviously, I've learned a lot of lessons on what works for certain people, what works for me, and so I can share that. And then the last thing I'll talk about is just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what might be brought up in future episodes, right? Is things that I'm about and will likely be tied
Maybe
in.
some of Ryan's crazy ideas.
Okay. I mean, just like, the short list of things that I like to do would be, anything fitness related. So running, I don't love it, but I run. I've ran a marathon.
Yeah.
Or a half marathon, sorry.
We've done races together.
Yeah. Mountain biking. I am into bow hunting. So like archery hunting essentially, and golf. Sometimes I'll play guitar like from here and there. So
yeah, you have written me a song before, so that's nice.
And just, a fly fishing, these kind of things. A lot of outdoor camping, hiking. But these, all these hobbies, I will probably tie them in somehow into some episodes. So if you're like interested in those kind of things, you'll hear about
our adventures.
Yes.
You didn't even say mountain biking. We've been mountain biking.
I said mountain biking.
Oh, you
I
did? Maybe I'm not listening. Sorry,
Wow.
baby.
Wow, hopefully they are. But
Hopefully somebody is.
So Lauren, what is your background?
My background, so I did not go to school for exercise science. My background is in teaching, so I love to teach. I've worked with little kids for a very long time. I've worked with college students, community college.
Too.
Yeah, lots of immigrants that have come here from the U.S. and Ukrainians that came here and refugees and all of that kind of stuff. So that is my background. But through all of that, I have been very much so into fitness. I've been like strength training. I started at 18 going to the gym. I was a manager of a bakery in college, and I lifted with my boss, and she had done a bikini show when she was, probably my age or something like that.
Like a bodybuilding show?
Yeah. She had done a bodybuilding show. And so she knew a lot of like that kind of lifestyle and lifting and everything like that. So that was my first like experience with lifting, was with her.
Okay.
And then from that like knowledge, I guess I was like, okay, I can go to the gym by myself. And I remember going to the gym in college, and all the girls would be on cardio machines, and like I would be there with the guys lifting weights, just them grunting right next to me and stuff like that.
Lovely.
I don't know, because I went to SDSU, and they're a little ego driven.
California.
The surfer bros, yeah.
Maybe like that.
So, but yeah, so recently I've gotten into bodybuilding a lot more. I've done CrossFit for many years. So I qualified for the 2024 CrossFit quarterfinals, which was really cool this year.
Just like how I went to med school on accident. I think that I like to say the Lauren.
Yeah, I accidentally qualified for
you weren't doing CrossFit.
Yeah, I have done CrossFit for a very long time, so I know the movements. I know how things go. Like I did gymnastics as a kid, all of that kind of stuff. So I was on prep when I qualified, and I was like, oh, I qualified, so might as well try. That was very difficult though, being on prep and
going into the actual quarterfinals.
Yes, because I was not planning on doing that. It was just kind of for fun. But if I do it again, then I'm gonna, like, if I do for 2025, then I'm gonna actually try and go for it.
And for anyone out there who did the CrossFit Open in 2024, was it the third workout with the muscle ups or the second? Because the first one was the burpees. I don't remember
which one it was.
And the snatches.
But yeah, muscle ups is like the one that kind of
that
separates you from the rest of the group.
The girl did 3 muscle ups, okay, at the end. It was great.
So, and then this year I did my first bodybuilding competition, and I came first in my class in wellness and first in my class in bikini. So November, I'm going to do another regional show. And then in December, I'm going to go to Dallas, Texas and do nationals.
Yeah.
Nationals there. So in the hopes of eventually getting my pro card, I would love to get my pro card in December. I would love to, for the first year doing it, get my pro card. I'm not going to bank on that happening because it's so rare, but like, I don't know. I think I can do it.
But there's one thing.
See.
Yeah, there's one thing Lauren and I have very much in common. That is self-fulfilling prophecy. So the more that you say something is going to get done, the more likely it is to be done, basically.
That's true. Ryan is very positive.
I always correct her when she says, "Oh, I think it's." I'm like, "No, you know it's going to happen." Because like, what's the point?
And it has been helpful. It has been helpful too because for the last show that I did, May 11th. I was thinking, you started thinking so many negative thoughts, and I was like, no.
You're preparing for another show. And
I was like,
hey.
no, this will be a practice show. This will be a practice show. It's fine if I don't like make it.
You went out and won.
Yeah.
So, and that will obviously be a journey that we're following, So if you guys are interested in that, we can,
because you're about to start again. In 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it'll be a thing. It'll be
a thing that's constantly brought up.
Yes.
Is me being on prep.
Yeah.
And I love group fitness. I've done all kinds of group fitness like F45, Orange Theory, CrossFit, Bar, Barry's Boot Camp, cycling classes, like you name it, I have done that group fitness. And I love group fitness. I think there is always a time and place for it. For hypertrophy training, probably.
It's a little different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love the community aspect of it. There's so many things I love about group fitness. So I'm going to become a certified group fitness instructor.
Yes. That
is the road. I've signed up for it and everything. So
been studying.
Yes.
Putting in the work.
Not enough work, but eventually the work will get done.
Yes.
But same with Ryan. I'm into like a bunch of different hobbies like climbing and mountain biking. Yeah. We ran a half marathon and a marathon last year. Wouldn't qualify myself as a runner, but I did finish the marathon.
You finished. I saw you.
I finished the marathon.
You ran across
the finish
box.
Line. Yeah, that was a box I just wanted to check, and I checked it.
Yeah,
and obviously you checked it with me with a week's notice.
Yes, that was short notice. Yes,
very short notice.
But obviously, you're into CrossFit and a lot of outdoor activities like we both are. So it's like we'll try whatever it is.
Yeah,
and then we kind of niche down into like the seasons, right? Oh, it's skiing, snowboarding too would be another thing that we're both into.
Yeah.
So winter sports when we live in Colorado, it's kind of
curling, baby. Let's join a league.
We will. It's ice off.
We looked into curling yesterday, and it was like some dedication. So maybe that'll be our
the Olympics start.
The Olympics, yeah, baby.
So
we'll go to Olympics for curling.
I am gonna broom. What was it called?
Start
the brush?
Practicing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was called something. I think it is just.
But they're taking
broom.
the ice out, so we can't do it until winter. So we have to give it a couple months, and then
we're gonna be training.
You'll see us out there.
Yeah.
Curling.
Not barbells or dumbbells.
Yeah.
Those too, but also stones.
Which I did not know that they were called, but
they're literally but they're so smooth.
Yeah, I know. I want to like touch them and see how it slides on the ice.
We're gonna touch it.
We're gonna touch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to touch it. You're going to touch it. We can touch it together.
We can touch it.
It's going to be great.
All right, Ryan, why are we starting this podcast? Why do you want a podcast?
So similar to, I guess, the company that I kind of started, I've been thinking about all this stuff. Started. But I guess like the similar mindset is I've been thinking about all this a lot because so specifically when I was in med school, I started thinking about all this is I would go to, and this isn't to, shame any sort of profession, right? Or any doctor. I'm not going to name names, but I went to many doctors, many physical therapists, and these kind of things. And I just feel like there's always kind of an element missing. And then when I would try to find that, sometimes on the internet, like there are really good people that are science-based and like actually, present the information without, like ulterior motives. Potentially like trying to sell a product, because that is a lot of the fitness industry is like they kind of hook you in and then they're like, oh, we'll buy my vitamin,
and like the amount of supplements that you actually need
is very minimal.
So minimal.
Yeah. So I guess to cut to the chase, it would be, I saw enough of like misinformation and people being like swayed, and we will talk about like there's people know Liver King, right? That guy. That was more of a recent example, but that's kind of my vibe of like I want to present information and be like a trustworthy source of health and fitness information, because there's so much stuff out there that people fall victim to, and they waste their money, they waste their time, and then just to be like basically betrayed by somebody who is telling you all these things are going to work. And also, I'm just super passionate about it. Like, it's what I love to talk about.
Yeah,
I
share the same passion. For sure.
Like I love to talk about health, fitness, and also for me, it's more of a longevity game of like, I love looking a certain way. Let's just be honest, but I also do it because I know I feel a certain way, and I want to feel that way going into like older age, because we're seeing now, right, with the
Ryan wants to be the fittest dad.
Oh no. I am dying with the six pack. We're talking about this open casket. There's going to be abs. All right. Yeah. You're going to,
I believe you, babe.
So,
just don't put on another percentage. You get to 9%.
Oh, man. So yeah, it's basically that. And it's just, I think that we do have very valuable information to share, because we've both been through a lot of, and you'll hear about it later on, but like, some health stuff, right? And kind of
we have issues.
Yeah. And how, fitness and these kind of things, like without it, those kind of health issues would probably affect you a lot more. And also, that's what I was going to say, is that we are now seeing it too directly, like my parents and just my friends' parents who are the baby boomers, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't have the same like education in health, fitness, nutrition, right? Like, so now we're seeing those effects in like obviously the medical field as well. Yeah, they're seeing these patients, and we'll get into my doctor later. All right? He loves me. It's not a big deal. But
Ryan's doctor is obsessed with him.
It's great. But it's just sad because, it's because of the patient population that he sees most of the time. They just like don't know.
There's so many obese people. There's so many obese people.
Yeah, metabolics.
Yeah. And so like they're looking to see doctors, and like they have to get through more people. And I don't know. It's sad. And like how it affects, our family. I've definitely had people in my family that are not the healthiest.
Yeah, and don't quote me on this, because obviously this changes all the time. But when I first saw this doctor, he said it was about 80% of the U.S. has, and this is kids, adults, right? Everybody has metabolic syndrome, basically. So some sort of metabolic disease. 80%. That's insane. And I guess for me, and I know for you too, that's where like, sure, I have the exercise science background, but you have the education background. Because one thing I know I'm passionate about, so, like, let me know if you're here with me, babe, is like the kids, right? The kids growing up now.
Oh my God.
It's sad. And
it's
they
like,
need,
as a teacher too, because I taught third grade, it's like you only have so much say.
Yeah.
Like you can't pack their lunch for them.
No.
You can only give them the education on it. And it's honestly not, their fault. It's their parents' fault.
It's a twofold. Like the parents need to understand, but the kids also at a certain point do need to have the autonomy to like, when they're on their own, not like we're talking 18, but like when they're with their friends at their friend's house, maybe their friends' parents have soda all the time.
It's just like the nutrition education.
Yeah.
And like if you can get a kid to say no to like cake or a cupcake and not
just every once in a while, like
and it's also have them understand why they're saying no.
Exactly.
Like not developing a food disorder or any like an eating disorder or anything like that. Like you want the kids to have a good relationship with food, but you also want them to understand what it does to their body.
Yes.
Because I've seen like when my kids, they would come in with like donuts and cupcakes and it was their birthday. I'm like, this is going to be a hard day for Miss Enzueto because you guys are all going to crash at some point.
Yes.
So, I think it's a big thing with education and kids. And that's definitely one thing that I'm passionate about because I love the babies.
Yes.
I love the babies.
Yeah. Okay. So so why do you want to start? I'm sure some of this aligns, but.
Well, I think from teaching right now, I'm not in a teaching position. I'm in sales. So I have been kind of yearning for the teacher to come back in
Yeah,
some way.
some
and I
sort
feel
of,
like, this is a certain way. I have loved education, and I wish my career could have gone that way towards just education. But now I feel like it's kind of going this way, and I'm happy about that. Because then it's like two things that I am passionate about. It's teaching and fitness. So I feel like I'm slowly aligning with who I'm supposed to be. So that makes me really happy, and that's one reason why I am also getting my group fitness instructor certification, because I do just love teaching so much, and I love group fitness. And I think because I feel like I've always been meant to do something with my voice. I've always been very loud.
It's a very nice voice.
And thank you. And I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I totally get that. And if I'm not yours, that is fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like my voice was meant to do something great. And if I can do that with this podcast, that would make me so happy.
There it is. Boom. And just like, even though we love Ted Lasso.
We do love Ted Lasso.
You would not be his cup of tea no matter what, because he hates tea.
He does hate tea.
Except for that time he drank mushroom tea in the one episode, not to spoil anything. But like, besides that, he's like, no, that's pigeon sweat. That's one of the things he says. We could get completely derailed on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, we can.
But if you haven't seen it, like, you got to watch it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, but wait, why did you bring up Ted Lasso?
Because you said you're not everyone's cup of tea.
Yes.
And then I thought of how nice Ted Lasso is. But even however nice he is, you would not be his cup of tea because he hates tea. That's where my mind was going.
Okay. I feel like Ted Lasso and I would get along.
I would, yes.
Because I would like Ted Lasso would get along with your puns.
Yeah, with our puns.
Just find each other so freaking funny. I feel like Ted Lasso and I would get along for like 10 minutes, and then I would be the therapist and be like, sit down and get out.
You need to chill.
Yeah. But I feel like you could probably spend all day with Ted Lasso.
I can chill with Ted. Yeah. All right.
So what are we talking about today?
Enough banter.
Yes.
That's another Ted Lasso, Lex.
I know, that's true.
But that's not how that just kind of happened.
But we're going to talk about consistency today for our first episode.
General consistency.
Yeah.
Because I think that is one of the most common things I've seen over the years is like people start something, whether it's diet, fitness, even like an activity like biking or running, and then they stop. And there's many, 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 many reasons why they might stop, or why they do it like, 3 times a week, 1 week, and then maybe they do it 1 week, 1 day the next week, and then it goes to like another day, and then it fizzles out, right? Something like that. So yeah, we're going to talk about that because consistency is the most important thing in my opinion. That's how you make changes metabolically, to your weight, to your muscle, to anything. Like
the smallest change over like a certain duration of time can make a big impact. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most common problems with America in general, of like that quick fix mentality. You see these drugs,
everybody does it.
You see these surgeries, right? And yeah, they work, of course, but like that's not ever going to replace hard work and consistency. And I know that sounds boring.
That's what I feel like why muscle is so admirable.
Yeah.
Because nobody can give it to you.
Well, let's be honest, like, okay, with the content creator and just like our atmosphere of people right now, right?
Yeah.
You always hear these people getting like foiled for like, oh, they rented a private jet to look a certain way, right?
Yeah.
They might rent a Lamborghini and then you think, or they might just spend their 5 paychecks on that Gucci bag. So they're having this appearance of being rich. But with muscle, it's like your walking resume.
Yeah.
Like it sounds kind of like lame or douchey, but
and it's just like there's respect automatically.
No, you walk around
if
and people know.
Fit, like you just get more respect. You do.
Yeah. And we will definitely talk about, because I definitely like the idea of like how fitness can affect not only you in the gym, but how it affects
everything
your sleep,
in your life,
how it affects your work, how it affects how people treat you. And now especially too, I mean, 30 years ago, being fit was probably you're less of an outlier. But now with 80% of people potentially
especially in America,
you are an outlier.
Yes.
And any way you can stand out, like, I don't know, I think that can be a positive in most senses, depending on. But yes, so consistency. So I think what we first need to do, and this is not a Webster dictionary definition by any means, but I want you, Lauren, to define what you think consistency is just generally. And then I'll kind of like, do a little bit of that as well. Well, I'll fill in the
build
blanks
off of it.
Yeah, or I'll be like, dang, that was perfect. That's exactly what I said, which does happen with us sometimes. So if that's the case, then there we are.
I feel like consistency for me is just showing up. You just have to show up, and then more things will fall in place from there, of just like showing up over and over and over again, whether it's like 10% or 100% or 5%, or maybe you show up and then you literally turn around and leave. I don't know if that was exactly showing up, but you went there.
Showing up.
I've done that for the gym, of like, I've walked in like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And then it's like, well, I'm going to move. I'm at least going to stretch. I'm at least going to do 10 minutes of walking. Yeah. And then I've left. Is that every time? Absolutely not. No. Normally I go in there like, I want to destroy my body today. But
aggressive.
Sometimes you have to have that mindset, and then you get a really, really good workout.
That's true. Yeah.
So I do think it is just showing up is half the battle. And I know some people are totally going to have like beef with that, of just like, I don't know the saying, but it's like perfect practice. Like, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. But that's not life.
No.
Like, that's not realistic for everybody. That's not realistic for me. And so, and even on prep, like, your prep can't be perfect for bodybuilding. Yeah. You can try and make it perfect, and you can be really hard on yourself. And I definitely have been very hard on myself with prep, of like, I'm not good enough. This is not good enough. But like, I showed up every day, even when I thought it wasn't good enough and it wasn't enough. And like, I'm going to nationals in December. So
yeah, I think that's a perfect way of explaining it, because I think too many people, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've skipped probably over the 10 plus years of training. I've probably skipped, 200-300 workouts, like where I knew that I woke up and I was like, I'm going to work out today. And then maybe
you don't.
Something happens, or like that kind of example, like I intend fully, and maybe I even show up. Obviously, I have this home gym here. I show up, I come in here, and I'm like, no, I'm just no.
That's the one thing wonderful about classes is
you
like
don't really have that
the
option.
Incentive of just like, well, I paid for this,
and I signed
and if
up.
I don't show up, they will charge me.
Yeah.
So here I go.
There is that.
Yeah.
But I think the beautiful thing is with consistency is, I think people have like a perfection mindset. Like when somebody's starting,
an all or nothing mindset. It's
like,
a bad mindset to have.
Yes. They're like, all right, I'm starting this fitness regimen. Maybe they get a coach, maybe they buy a program, or they're like, they see the guidelines by the whatever, FDA or whoever makes these governmental guidelines. And they're like, I need to work out 4 days a week. And then let's say they do that for 1 week, but then the next week, whatever happens, they work out 3. I feel like they already think they failed. But 3 days a week is still way better than 2, way better than 1, and way better than what most people do, which is 0.
That's true.
So I think that my big takeaway for the definition of consistency for me is it's not about how much you do in a month or 2 months or 3. It's how much you do in like a year. Like how consistent can you stay for long term, not short term? Because I don't really care. But
I feel like some people, I think it depends on the mindset that you have, because some people can hear a year and be like, oh my God, that's such a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That I have to be consistent for. But I feel like you can also look at it like, how can I be consistent this day? Like, what can I do today? Of like, if you want to get a certain amount of steps in, and then you want to work out, and then you want to also go mountain biking. And like, I'm just literally saying the things that I want to get done today.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
But like, if you take it and for prep, you kind of have to do take it day at a time. I'm going to constantly bring up prep because that's where my mindset is.
And I guess we should just quick side note, what prep is basically when you start preparing for a bodybuilding show. So you're on a specific diet, you're on a very specific training regimen, you're doing a lot of cardio
over and over.
You're basically losing weight is what you're trying to do. You're trying to get
You're prepping for a bodybuilding show.
Yeah. So that's
which is normally about 16 weeks.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows. But yeah, I guess I just think, and we'll kind of talk about this later, with consistency, it's very easy to, once you do something the opposite way, that's like, so it goes both ways in my mind. If I'm very consistent 1 week and I'm going to the gym, say I like to go 5 to 6 times, and I do my 6 times, the next week it's very easy to do 6 times again. But if we take the opposite, is if I, for some reason, go 3 times, then the next week it's much easier to not go as much. So, and I think that applies to diet. I think that applies to fitness. and mindset in general is the second you start like slipping, effing off basically, and it's like a slippery slope. Like, oh, I ate cake last night
My
and that
reverse
was
diet.
really good. I'm going to eat cake again. But when you don't eat cake for a very long time, it's
Honestly,
very
you forget
easy.
what it tastes like too.
Yeah, it's easy to not eat it. Or same with drinking. When you don't drink for a very long time, there's very serious negative consequences to when you drink again. You're like, I feel like crap for like 3 to 4 days.
Well, actually, we had a glass of wine on Friday, and surprisingly, like I thought I was gonna feel so bad because we don't really drink. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna wake up with a headache. I'm gonna like feel like crap. And I woke up with a little bit of a headache, but then I drank water, went away immediately.
Yeah, but it's not the same as not drinking though.
Yeah,
it's still worse.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah, it's easier, right? To like, we've been around plenty of people with like when we're having a party or whatever, and since we're not drinking, it's easier to not drink. But like, once you start drinking or anything,
what you crave.
Yeah.
Like I don't crave to drink. Maybe like every now and then I'll have an urge for a glass of red wine, but it's like I don't really crave candy because I don't really eat candy. I don't crave soda. I've never craved soda because I don't drink soda.
But if we started drinking all the time, it'd be easier.
I probably would eventually crave it. Yeah.
So I think, I guess the overarching point that we're both kind of saying but not saying is that it's easy to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's easy.
I've definitely said that.
Yeah, you said
for
that a lot.
anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, sleeping at my house, sleeping at your house.
Yeah. It's easier to do what you're consistently doing. So great transition here because, we're expert podcasters.
Yes.
How can you build or like how can you start doing what you need to do to be consistent with fitness, you think?
I think taking like some resources, like download an app, like get a watch.
So let's build our, I guess, client. We're just this artificial person. We're gonna name him Bobby. Okay. Bobby. And Bobby has tried.
Can you do Bobby and then I'll do Barbara because I feel like there's different consistencies for women.
Okay.
What would motivate a woman to be consistent versus what would motivate a man.
Okay.
Maybe not all of them. I think there's a lot of overlapping, but I'm going to go with Barbara. Barbara is my client.
Okay. So let's do, they're both generally, this is their vibe though. Bobby and Barbara. They have both tried very many fitness regimens and like they've had coaches maybe even, and they've looked up the different fad diets or they've tried some like keto, but none of them have worked because they've never really tried them that long. Say like they've tried each for like a month or two and then they get kind of sick of it and they go on to the next thing. So they're not seeing the results, so they stop doing what they're doing. So how do we help a person like that?
I think you have to have various different goals. Like you can't put all of your eggs in one basket of just like the scale or something like that.
So for Barbara.
Yes. So for Barbara, like that's what I said, like all the resources, like get a watch and track your steps. And then like get the consistency of constantly looking at it. Like put, your watch right next to your bathroom sink so you can, take it on and put it off right when you wake up. That's literally what I do.
Yes, you do. You're very good about that.
Yes, I love tracking my steps.
Steps are super important.
Yeah.
It's very overlooked, but super important for health and all the things.
And then also like getting a Whoop, and that's just another resource. You can look at your sleep. You can look at all these things. And so you have the information, like getting the data, and not just one set of data for the consistency of it, like trying to consistently go to bed on time. And it's not like I'm saying I'm perfect in all of these ways. No. But like you and me, we share a Whoop, a group chat in our Whoop. Yes. Whoop. And like that kind of forces me to be consistent. And I feel like another resource would just be like getting a gym buddy.
There you go.
And like if you feel like you can't be consistent on your own, which I think a lot of people do, it's like I can't do this alone. It's like, I couldn't do prep alone. I couldn't do a lot of the things that I do alone. Like it takes other things. So like use those other things if you have an issue being consistent. Like take in more people, sign up for classes. Like how I was saying before, if you sign up for a class and you don't go, you're going to pay for that class, so that kind of forces you to be consistent in it. Yeah. So that's what I would kind of say is like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you have issues being consistent by yourself, like pull in resources, pull in friends, pull in family, like get a friend and be like, hey, let's go on a morning walk. Hey, let's over the
It's
weekend,
that-
let's go on a hike.
Yeah. It's the extra adherence of somebody else being like relying on you.
Yeah. Like
And-
all last year with climbing, because I love climbing, Jonah and I would go every single Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's what, like, there's
You
some
were
Wednesdays
like-
I did not want to go. I'm like, well, Jonah's going to ask why I
Yeah.
wasn't there. Jonah's going to
Exactly.
like text
You're
me. I know
counting
he's,
on- yeah.
you're counting on that person. And so that showed me to be consistent in the gym because he was there, So, and I got better at climbing for a year.
Yeah.
Every single Wednesday. I was
There you
not
go.
I was not lifting at Vasa, not lifting at 24. I was at the climbing gym with Jonah. So,
Yeah. And I would say, and I don't have too much experience with like female clients, just to be honest, most of mine have been male, but I would say for somebody like Barbara, and I don't think this is as common, but when I was, like 10 years ago, so I first got into all this space, some of my friends from college, they would, being girls, they would always ask me, or if they'd come to the gym with us, like me and my buddy Kev, they would just like go straight to the cardio machine. And because they think, and like I said, I don't think this
I think
is.
it's changing a bit.
It is changing.
But yeah.
It
it's
used to be-
easy to think about cardio.
Well, and girls thought
Like
that
that.
they would work out and get bulky. I've heard that. So I haven't heard that as much, but I used to hear that so much. Like
I think probably like the general population thinks
that's
now.
gonna happen.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, nobody thinks that anymore. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm surrounded with a different group of people.
Right.
That
So-
like definitely want to get bulky.
Yeah, because I mean, I just putting myself in Barbara's shoes, or
Yes.
or like if she's wearing heels, that would suck for me. But like if I'm putting myself in her shoes, and I think I have to do cardio to be healthy as a woman, that is so far from the truth. Like you need strength training, especially as you're, getting older. If you are, because just in general, women's bone mass is osteoporosis affects them a lot more. That's just how it works, unfortunately, with hormones and all these complicated things. But strength training and weight training, weight bearing activities are immensely important for them. And so like, I think if you just have this box of like, cause I would hate to do cardio only. That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Or just like one form of cardio.
Yeah.
Like the average person that's not on prep, like if you're just doing the
Like,
elliptical or something, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like there's other forms. And I think classes have gotten better at this. Like
Of
bar,
doing-
for example.
right.
Bar did not have any like heavy weights at all until recently.
Yeah.
Where like Pure Bar, because I signed up for Pure Bar and still kind of do Pure Bar. But yeah, the last like 6 months they put in their define class.
Yeah.
And those weights go up to 15 pounds. And that's majority older women.
Yeah, which is
So-
awesome. So yeah, like I said, I don't think that's as much of a deal, but I do think there's still that mindset. And I think that would help with consistency, because for me, like I can't always just train weight training, hypertrophy, 3 sets of 8 to 12, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Because that would get boring even for me, and I love it
I think,
more than a lot
that
of
also
people.
has to do with consistency. But like, I do think like mix it up. Yes. But the consistency does get boring, and
Yeah.
there's ways around it. But at the same time, like,
Yeah, it gets boring, sure. And that's why I think you touched on it perfectly, which is you need different goals. And this is what I would talk for with Bobby, right? So
Bobby,
Barbara, I think
yeah.
we have Barbara covered, hit the weights, also do cardio, find a
especially
lifting
Barbara's
partner.
like 45.
Yeah,
Lift some weights. Your skeletal muscle
You
is
need
so important.
you need it.
And you too, Mom, if
Your
you're
hips,
listening.
your hips will
Lift
help
your
you.
weights.
But for Bobby, I think, and this will apply to both men and women, but especially for men, because just at a certain age, this is not going to be attainable, but to have goals other than certain way you look. Like and also like genetics do play a role in this generally.
Yeah.
You will see guys who are not enhanced, right? That's a whole different conversation. But if you are natural, you will potentially hit, like I'm probably very close to my genetic potential, right?
Yeah.
I've 10 plus years of weightlifting and like taking care of my body nutritionally and sleep. Like I can't put on like 10 more pounds of muscle without going enhanced, which I'm not going to do. So yeah, is that going to help? Like that's not going to help my consistency, because every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, well, I look the same. But to me, that's fine. I want to look this way and I want to keep looking this way. So for me, that goal is good enough. But for some people, knowing that you're going to hit that endpoint, it's going to probably derail your consistency. So you need to find other goals. I like to call them like a secondary goal. So if your primary goal is building muscle, cool, you did it. But then what? Like when that one falls short, what are you going to do? Well, if you're a dad, what if you want to play, your kid's going to be like a soccer star, right? He's going to, going off the Ted Lasso example still. What if he or she wants to go and try to be like an Olympic, soccer soccer player.
Yeah.
You need to be fit enough to go and run with them if you want to like train with them. Do you want to just be on the sidelines when your kid's like, Dad, like, let's go play? Or like,
this
even
is Ryan to a T.
But
he wants to be the fittest dad, fittest grandpa.
And this isn't like, all right, let's just take it down a notch. Even if your kid's not going to be a soccer player for the U.S. team, even if they're just want to go and play like basketball, or what if they want to go play tennis, or what if they want to go on a bike ride with you?
Yeah.
Do you want to fall short to that and like have them not want to invite you next time because they had to wait for you all day? No, like you would rather, and that's a pretty strong incentive, right? Is like as a goal is to be able to keep up with you if you have kids, or say you have friends and maybe they do like an annual bike trip. Like, do you want to have to every year like feel like you're letting the group down?
Yeah.
And I think so. Really, I think you need to try to find more goals than, oh, I want to look a certain way, or I want to lose weight to a certain point. Because you will potentially lose 20 pounds. But then what? Like, what? You can't just keep losing weight. You will literally disappear.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess my primary goal is, muscle, but also like health. And muscle equals health. And then also like the metrics of health, blood pressure, these kind. I don't want to be on medication, right? That's like one of my things. I know that there's always a story like, oh, that dude smoked and drank every day and he lived to 100. Yeah, cool deal. Like I would rather
an outlier too, though.
Yeah. I would rather live shorter, but more like functionally active. That's kind of like my vibe. Yeah. And then right underneath those two things for me, like the goal that keeps me in the gym more, like my consistency for the past 10 years is always, mountain biking or archery, elk hunting now that I've gotten into. Like you have to be fit for these activities.
Yeah.
And I just like to be able to like, all right, if you're like, hey, like we did that one time. Hey, let's go climbing. I haven't gone climbing in forever. I did okay. I wasn't like, but I didn't die. Right.
I think with men too, it's also like stretching and taking care of your body and like a wellness feminine way. I feel like they would categorize
like keeping it mobile, keeping it fresh.
Yes, like stretch, God forbid, roll out. I feel
keep it mobile. Yeah.
Yes, keep it mobile and like go to a yoga class. Ryan's been to yoga class.
Hot yoga
and we died.
Only time. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But you're also good about like rolling out and like doing the ball thing with your feet.
Well, and the beautiful thing is with consistent weight training as a guy, like that is enough stretching. You don't need to do like extra stretching. Like just having a barbell going into full squat, or not even barbell. You could have a goblet. That is enough, especially as you get older. Like if you're continuously doing it. But if you're not, then you do have
just
to.
Like the mobility of it. Because like my stepdad and I, we were playing basketball and he tore his Achilles.
Yeah, that's pretty like, common. But
yeah. I know that was kind of a one-off situation, but I feel like that does.
But you never know.
Happen.
He did tell me about that. And
right?
He's like, I wasn't very fit.
And that put him out for a very long time. We haven't played basketball since, and that was like the first like kind of 15 minutes. Not to throw him under the bus, but that did happen. And just like taking care of your body, getting enough sleep, stuff like that, like not drinking so much alcohol. The little things count for that as well. Like
they all add up.
Men need to think about their wellness and not just like building muscle.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's why I said like mine is muscle, but also health. Like right next to like that's why
I know you are like that, but I think there's a lot of like I'm a man's man. I'm gonna drink a beer and bicep curl at the same time. Like don't do that.
Yeah. It's not, you're counteracting the bicep curl generally by doing that, but that's for another whole thing. But so I think those are some good tips to stay consistent with fitness, is basically finding reasons other than fitness to do fitness. Like you need to have ulterior motives other than like the very primary.
Your why can't just be vanity
lose weight reasons. Or muscle. Yeah. And I do think also I want to touch on it too, because I've heard, so Brent Fikowski is a CrossFit Games, talk about consistency. I think he's pretty much made the CrossFit Games every year he's attempted to, right? He's never won, but he's always very competitive, right?
Yeah.
And
consistently never won.
Yeah. But the important part is he touched on this, because if you know anything about the CrossFit Games and those athletes, they train a ton and they have to train multiple different, disciplines: running, cardio, swimming, weightlifting,
that's why they call
Olympic
them like
lifting.
The fittest people on earth, because there is so many modalities that they have to train.
And one thing he said, exactly what you said, is of course he doesn't feel like training all the time. That's his job too. It's not like he has another job. He just he trains. And he said, I always show up. I always go to the gym and I'll tell you, even with Lauren, sometimes if it was just on me and she's like, oh, you want to go lift today at Voss? I'm like, no, but I go with her and in my head, I'm like, this is not gonna be good. But then once you're there, sometimes like just that little warm up, little energy.
That makes such a difference. Like once you're there, like you can leave once you do your little warm up, but like at least get through that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this like delusional conversation that I've had with myself so many times of just like, I'm just going to do one set and then I'll ask Ryan to go.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm just going to finish like, these couple of reps and then I'll get up and like, I'm going to ask him to leave.
Yeah.
There's so many times in prep where I've done that. I'm like, I want to leave this gym so bad.
And it's just that method of starting.
Once you're there, like,
you release certain hormones like these endorphins
dopamine,
start.
Yeah.
And also I think it is very true to that quote of like, basically the fear of how hard something is. And, I know the quote's different this, but like the fear of you're like building it up in your mind, like, oh, it's so hard. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. You go to the gym and it's no longer as hard as you thought because you already did the hardest thing, which is showing up. So I think that is having different goals than the vanity goals, right? And then just showing up for yourself. And especially if you have a workout partner, you will get so much done that way.
Yeah.
So I think that covers fitness pretty well. But now
diet, which is harder. I'm going to say.
I would say, diet.
Harder.
Yes, diet. Because let's be honest, I am very consistent working out, but my diet, sometimes I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
What? You brought some like gummy bears that I've never had before? Like I haven't ate those in 10 years, but I'm going to try.
Yes. I think it's been a lot harder because I finished my prep May 11th. And then I was on my reverse diet. This is the first reverse diet I've ever done. I don't even know if I would qualify it as a reverse diet because I literally ate whatever I wanted and have done so.
Yeah,
for the
you
past,
reversed all your diet. Yeah,
I reversed it all. So that, it kind of goes back to what you were saying of like, since I had a cookie or since I had cake because I was allowed to, quote unquote, then it was so much easier to have it again.
Yeah, taste buds change.
Yeah,
that's for sure a thing. So. And
that's like what I craved because I was like, my body was like, oh, let's fucking go. Which is not, if I could do it over again, but I was listening to a different podcast this morning and I was like, your first prep is like first prep, worst prep.
Yeah.
That's not even like I had the worst prep ever, but like I have learned so much.
Yes.
And like I had to be consistent. I was very, very, very consistent for 18 weeks.
Very long time.
18 weeks. I was so excited. Like, yeah.
She would watch me eat pancakes, chocolate, all the things.
Yeah.
Stay strong.
And it's like amazing how I was like, I did that.
Yeah.
And now I'm here and I can eat what I want. And it's kind of crazy. But I think consistency, like if you're having a problem with consistency, which I have had a problem with consistency the past 8 weeks, because there has been time where I was like, oh, I didn't want to eat that cookie. I didn't want to eat that cake. I didn't want to do this. And then you sit in this guilt, like this diet guilt, or like uncomfortable because you overate. And I know a lot of women deal with this. And you just feel awful and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get back on track? How am I going to, But I think things that have helped me with consistency, at least having a coach. I know not everybody can afford a coach, or I know not everybody wants a coach, but like if you don't have a coach. There's a lot of
free coaches though that you can
and there's like an affordable way to do it.
Yeah.
Like my coach is a bit more expensive because it is in person. She does offer a lot, like, and just prepping in general, you need that assistance and everything. But I think just checking in with somebody.
Yeah. It's accountability.
Yeah. The accountability of it for sure.
And I think with a diet, the easiest thing for me, because I think I would say in the past, probably 6 to 10 years, I've been consistent with my diet in terms of I've never gone on like weird like binges of like, oh, all of a sudden I'm just eating insane. But I think the key to that is you got to find stuff that you can basically eat every day, because that's what you're going to, right, for prep. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And that is, you can't not be consistent because you know what you're eating. And so you're not.
I think prep is like a different beast with consistency. Like you have to be consistent. You want to do this, be consistent.
Yeah.
But like for the everyday person, the consistency, like I think what throws people off is the freedom.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, and also, I think too, you have to limit your choices, because one thing that I am very good at, and even traveling for work, but it's a similar thing, is that you can't eat out a lot, because you can't be consistent with that. Because who is going to go to, let's say like you're eating at Chili's, which like I wouldn't do, but like say you're doing that, right? And you go to Chili's, are you going to go there every single week on Thursday? Like, no, you're going to want to go to like maybe like Applebee's, and then maybe you want to check out like Texas Roadhouse where I used to work. Shout out to their bread. But that right there is not consistent, because you're going to all these different places. You're never going to really have the same thing. A lot of them don't have calories on the menu.
Yeah, you can't track. And even if they do, it's like you don't know how much.
They're throwing so much oil. And so right there, it
I feel like
sounds...
consistency, if you want to be consistent, take out going out to eat.
Yeah.
Eat at your house. Invite your friends over.
At least like the majority of the time.
Yes.
We're not... we just ate out like a couple days ago at Garbanzo, which is
yeah.
different. But like before that, it's been months. And so that for me, and that's always something I've done, is that I try to minimize that as much as possible. It's harder work, of course, all this stuff is. I go to the store and you buy food. Even when you're like tempted, like, ooh, DoorDash though, right? COVID started this DoorDash thing. I'm like, I get some DoorDash, and that's like $30.
Yeah, you need to be consistent.
And then the guy's always late and your food's cold.
Ryan's had issues with this.
So I think that right there, you need to find stuff that you can eat regularly and then just buy that all the time. So if like me, easy example, Chobani. It's really good for you. Right? I get the non-fat version, whatever. And
then you get that vanilla and you're like, wow.
Well, yeah, because it has tons of sugar. And then you want that one again.
And then you want that one.
Yeah, you got to find stuff. And also I would avoid, so let's go back to Bobby. And Bobby's tried the fad diets. Yeah, the people always have problems with that. They're like, oh, I tried this diet and it worked. And then they lose weight. But then
they gain it back.
But guess what? Yeah, some of those diets are literally called like something 30 days or something in 60 days. But it's like, what do you do after 60 days? Like, that's why I think the word diet is wrong. You need like a food plan, basically, that like is a long-term food plan. So I would avoid, and I would advise against, always do, any of my clients or any of the people listening to do a diet like that, like a keto, where it's like you're just doing it for like a certain amount of time. Because I just think, first of all, it's going to create diet fatigue. And also I think there's kind of this misnomer of I accomplished it and now I can eat what I want again. Right? Like after 30 days, they're like, oh, I earned this cake, girl. And it's like, no, you didn't. Because now it's your body is so good at going back to where it was. 30 days
I've watched it. Yeah.
30 days is not long enough to create change. Like this needs to be months and months and months. Yeah. So I would, instead of trying to do a diet like that, now, if you think you can do keto for like a year or two, perfect. Or like intermittent fasting or time restricted eating.
Or like with consistency, like change one thing at a time. Yeah. Like for your yogurt, if you're buying vanilla yogurt, start buying the like unflavored one. Yeah. You know what I mean? And be like, okay, that's what I crave. Chobani. Yeah, Chobani. Or the Costco one.
True.
Yeah. Or like if you like juice, try the LaCroix or
pop to LaCroix.
Try those little changes.
Milk chocolate to dark chocolate.
Stuff like that, like just one thing at a time, and that's what you're gonna start craving. So I think it's so hard, but I think it really also goes back to freedom. And like I feel like when because there's food pushers out there for sure. Shout out to my parents, because you guys are food judgmenters.
Judgmenters.
They're judgmental.
It's like Harry Potter.
Yeah, when you're on prep, there is so many people that judge you for your food, and they will say the comments, they will say everything. And I feel like you just need to tell yourself, like, the promises that I'm keeping to myself are more important than like this one piece of cake or this one thing that they're saying to me or something like that. And because I've had that with like work trips and stuff like that, like try the ice cream. It's so good. And it's like, why won't you let it go? And I feel like if you just say to that person, like, hey, no, I'm on a diet, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is really important to me. Like, I know that ice cream's not going to change, everything. And it won't. If you have one bite of ice cream, it won't change that. But the promises you make to yourself are more important than that one bite of ice cream.
Yeah, it's also easier to take another bite.
Yes, it is easier to take another bite. And then you like lose trust in yourself because you didn't keep your promise that you made to yourself, Yeah,
actually, and that would be definitely a thing that I would say for consistency in general is small wins. The more that you can convince yourself, like, oh, I did this and I did this.
It's easier to say no next time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, we'll definitely make a whole episode about goals and like setting goals. And that sounds maybe like really basic, but we'll go like how
Baby
we
goals.
do it. Yeah, we
Make yourself a
because
star
we
chart.
are very much goal setters, and like we'll talk to you about how some of the techniques we use. But yeah, setting goals. It's the same thing as self-fulfilling prophecy. If you if you put it on the fridge, you have a little whiteboard that's magnetic. I don't know, like who has that? Not us. But you put it on the fridge, go to the gym 3 days this week, and then you put like a little circle next to it, and then you can check that off. Those things that will release dopamine. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy of
I love it. I love crossing off the little line. Be like, oh, I did that.
Yes. So I think goal setting is a huge thing for consistency too. And it goes back to don't always set primary. Don't like lose 5 pounds. Like why not set a better goal and then also have like a subset goal of then your 5 pounds will be lost as well. But I think that's pretty good for diet. I think those are the big takeaways are try not to eat out. Try to find something you can sustain for a while, right? That's affordable. And because also some of those diets that people want you to do are not affordable for you. Like it has to fit in your budget or that's unreal too.
Yeah.
So, and you definitely will save money by not eating out. Trust me. Yes. And one last thing on that. All of these things, depending on where you're at in life, especially if you're in college, because I remember this, you will get, almost shamed for like, or even to this day, and I won't name names, but I'll be at, certain lunch gatherings for work. And the waitress or waiters walk, oh, like, what do you guys want to drink? And maybe this is like a chill day. Maybe there's some beers getting thrown around, all right? Or maybe some soda. Sometimes somebody might answer for me, but, oh, no, he doesn't drink anything. He's weird like that. Like, these kind of things will happen.
Well, I feel like that goes to what derails consistency. Literally, other people will.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like you need to know the people that will derail your consistency.
You have to be comfortable.
Identify them, and then like make a plan of like, okay, if she says X, Y, and Z, or he says X, Y, and Z, then I'm still gonna say this. Like you can practice in the freaking mirror. Yeah. I don't know, but
and especially if you're in college, you're gonna be at parties, and if you're trying to really like get your health together and lose weight, you can't drink. That's just there's too many calories in drinking, especially if you're. And is it going to be awkward because people are going to make fun of you? Yes. But you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And you will outlive that. And eventually it won't be a problem. And you'll be so resilient to saying no to things that it's like you don't even think about it anymore.
And then when you hit that goal and they come back to you and they're like, oh my God, like
you look
so good. And you're like, because I'm consistent.
Yeah. And I will just
derail me.
I'll shout out the people that are getting older, or I guess the people that are younger when you think about getting older. This all matters so much more as you get older, because when you're young, everybody's kind of generally like fit, and especially at college and stuff. It's like easy to maintain.
But it's like now, 30, if you're fit in 30, it's like, well, you're doing something right in your 20s.
People respect that now. They're like, oh, you're 30. Wow. And you can still look like, but.
Yes.
So what are some things that derail consistency? Yes, definitely other people, your friends, potentially your family.
I think yourself.
100%.
You can derail your own consistency,
very
like
easy.
with your mindset too.
Convince yourself.
If you get into like a negative feedback loop, or
I
like
don't need
you
this.
start thinking untrue thoughts and stuff like that, that can derail your consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that happen to myself. I was like, I've never had such negative thoughts about myself. And it's like once you have those negative thoughts, then it's so much easier to have another one. Yeah. And it's so much easier to be like, well, I feel so negative anyways, I'm just gonna eat this.
And I think, so let's do like the obvious ones, right? Injuries. Like that's going to potentially derail fitness.
I didn't even think about that one, but 100% if you get injured and but thank God I've not gotten injured.
We will talk about that. Obviously there's injuries where like you can't train around. Like if you have a major surgery, sure.
I don't know. One of the girls that I train with, I forget her name, but she's on my coach's team. And she broke her foot like right before.
Oh yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
She still went on, but did she place top whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, I actually don't know what she placed, but like kudos to her for still doing it. But yeah,
I'm talking like if you fractured like your femur, fibula, tibia, and your foot, we might be having some. You're in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I see people at the gym in wheelchairs.
But also, I feel like even if you get an injury, I feel like people can use that as a crutch.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Exactly.
Yes.
That's my point of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
like
sorry. Should I just let you get there?
No. Yeah, let me cook. Come on.
Let him cook.
No, but seriously, like that is, I think, realistically can, derail consistency. Mm-hmm. But we will do definitely an episode on that. of injuries in lifting and how to lift around them. And like, if you break your right arm, should you still lift with your left arm? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you should, because there's actually this basically neural circuitry where like you can maintain at least your strength and muscle mass of your right arm by lifting with your left arm, because of the way that your body is.
It
so
wants
cool.
to stay equal and like symmetric.
Yeah. So is that something that can derail your fitness? Yes. Is moving to a new town, maybe they don't have a very good gym, something like, yes, that could. But
travel can derail
travel
your fitness
100%
too,
can
traveling
derail
for work.
Yeah. But with all of these, and we'll just hit them quickly. So with the injury thing, we just talked about it. You can still work out. You can still find ways. It's a mindset thing. You can't let it
if you have a
affect
broken
you.
wrist, then you're going to get some strong ass legs.
Exactly. Or you can run still. You can still run.
That's true.
And for travel, for example, obviously I travel for work somewhat frequently. And what I did through my company, and you might not be able to convince your company this, but it's $10 a month. So like you can convince yourself. I got a Vasa membership to the state that I travel to. And I go to, because the hotel gym is crap. Let's just be honest.
Some of them are good.
Some of them are nice,
Most
but like
of them crap.
when you're on a budget and you're using your company's money, you can't be like staying at the Westin all the time, right?
Yeah.
You're staying at like small Marriotts, like Courtyards and stuff, and they just don't have a good gym. And that was not going to do it for me. I'm not even motivated looking at that. But knowing that I can go to the same gym that I basically go to here in Colorado, boom, like that's huge for me.
Like, where am I staying? What does the gym look like?
Yep.
Like, where can I train that's close to it?
And then also quickly for travel, for diet, like one of the first things the guy I travel with and we always do is we go to the store. We go to the grocery store just like I would here.
Yeah, I don't like DoorDash anything or like get food, but I've done that with groceries. Like when I'm traveling for work, I've had groceries delivered to my hotel.
And you can go to a hotel that has a stove, that has an oven, they have pots, pans. Now, am I saying we don't eat out? No, I eat out definitely when I travel. But that's also like maybe 1 week a month kind of thing. So this is not, and I will be honest, is it when I come back, is it easier to want to eat that way? Yes, it is, of course. But by modulating,
why you love me, baby. I'll make you the food when you get home.
But by modulating that, by like getting groceries like I would at home, it just is that extra little step. And so then another one that might derail diet and or fitness would be any sort of, we won't get too into it to make like this a sad episode, but like any sort of like traumatic, maybe a loss of a family member or a really bad breakup. These kind of things, are you going to feel... It can derail
your fitness, but it can also make you shredded.
That's right, yes. That's right.
You're just... Start your fitness journey,
You're
baby.
one bad breakup from being the best version of yourself.
Yes.
It's potential. Yeah. But yes, there's obviously also the other way around that, where it's like you become potentially depressed and these kind of things. And
what if we broke up? What would you do?
We're not going to talk about this.
You become Mr. Olympia. That's what would happen.
Anyway... All right, but I think, and then let's see, what other things would derail your consistency that are not like, those are like the obvious things, I think.
People, injuries, travel. What else could derail fitness?
I think realizing the goal, kind of like what we talked about. Like when you have attained a goal, like, all right, I lost 30 pounds or I gained 5 pounds of lean mass. And I think in that, like, it would be easier to like kind of relax, rest on your laurels at that point. But then I think that's when you need to change your goal.
Well, yeah, I feel like you're kind of saying
you need to be dynamic.
This sounds so cliche, but like your why.
Yeah.
If your why is just for vanity reasons, it's going to derail your consistency.
At a point when you reach it.
Yeah.
But then you need to keep stretching that why.
Yeah.
Or try something else. Like, like if you...
Because I think a lot of people, when they reach that goal, they have this like blue, like just sadness section after the goal.
Yeah.
So if like you can reach that goal and like be like, tap yourself on the shoulder, be like, good job. Okay. That was just a Tuesday. Then let's get back to what's the next thing.
Yeah. What's the next goal? Yeah. I think that.
If you can do it in a positive way. Yeah.
Yes. Try to be positive for sure.
Because I feel like, okay, what's enough? You have to.
Yeah. With all this too.
You are enough, Ryan.
Really? Thank you. With all this too, this is consistency, like we talked about at the beginning, and this is, we're right at about an hour now. So we'll do the takeaway points, but consistency does not equal perfection. It's just, you're doing it more than you're not doing it. I think there's be like a really simple way of understanding it, because there are people who go too hard in that. And so I have seen this many times where people think this is what they need to do for fitness is, I need to be fit. I need to lose weight. I'm going to run. Okay, cool. I'm going to run every day for a month. No, because guess what? You do that. I know somebody who did this very recently. They didn't run ever. They ran literally, I think it was like 5 miles a day for like 14 days in a row. Bro. Yeah, what's up, bro? Dude, my knee, I literally can't walk. Yeah, dude, because you ran 14 days in a row and you didn't run before. Like, your body's not going to recover from that. First of all, you need recovery. I couldn't even run 5 miles a day, 14 days in a row.
Nope.
But then guess what happens? You do that. You try to be too consistent, right? You try to be perfect in a way. You try to get results too fast. And then your consistency is completely derailed because you can't do it anymore. Like, you physically can't because you're injured.
Yeah.
So that's where I think people think it's perfection. They also want consistency will not create fast results. It will create results though.
Yeah.
Nothing really that you should do for long-term fitness will create fast results. It just takes time. But the beautiful thing is, once you achieve them, it's very easy to maintain.
Yeah, I feel
so
like understanding
easy.
with consistency, like the time frame of
Yeah.
it, having a realistic
It's going to
time
take a
frame.
while. Depending on where you're at. If you're starting skinny and you want to get bigger, if you're starting weak and you want to get stronger, if you're starting bigger and you want to get smaller.
And I think, I think people need to have a realistic mindset of the consistency. Because like my mom, she said like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, okay, that's going to take 20 weeks.
At least.
If you want to, at least.
Yeah.
At least. That is losing a pound of fat a week.
That's aggressive.
It's
aggressive.
Very aggressive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive. So, and if you want to lose 2 pounds a week, that's 1,000 calories a day.
Yep.
Like, you're going to be in 1,000 calorie deficit and you will feel that. So
Yeah. I think
it's
a
realistic time frame.
Yeah. It would be, this is not consistency. Consistency is like this.
Yeah,
it's
like
a
up,
squig.
down. Well, I feel like it's like the consistency of being inconsistent. Like, and if something doesn't work and you fail, like, cool, get up, try it again. That doesn't work, get up, try it again. Like, if you don't like Orange Theory, cool, go to F45, try that. If you don't like F45, go to bar, try that. Try CrossFit, try this, try that. And then like find what you can be consistent with.
Yep.
But like, I think it's like the get up and try again. Even on prep, like if you have a bad day on prep.
I thought you were about to say you have a dad bod.
No.
Hey.
If you have a bad day on prep.
Shout out to dad bods.
It's like, okay, get up, try it again. Like, the next day is going to be different, you know? Like, say you binge on carbs for a day or something like that. And you're like, oh, I ruined everything.
Right.
It's like,
it's the mindset
no,
thing.
get up, try it again. Get up, try it again. Like, fix it, you know? So.
Easier said than done. But it is very empowering, like, feeling that of like, oh, I'm in control. Because that is consistency. You are in control of what you're doing, what you're doing to your body. It gives you a lot of confidence. Yeah. And so I think the major takeaway points would be, don't have just goals that are like so short-sighted and so easily attainable. Have like dynamic goals. Like, I want to be there for my children potentially, or grandchildren.
Not just one
That's
goal.
like a long-term goal. Or like for me, I want to be able to archery elk hunt for literally until I can't walk. So that requires a level of fitness for like the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I also do want to play soccer with my kid who's going to get to the U.S. Olympic. All these things. I don't even play soccer, but this is just fantasies now. But you do need different goals, or like if you always have that activity that you love, like mountain biking. Like for me, I need to work out to also like my first ride this year. It was money because I've been like lifting. But if that was like my first ride, it would have sucked. And my legs have been sore. I would have not done good. All the things, right?
Yeah.
And then for diet, I think we talked about, but like you need to find something you can stick to. Don't do a diet. Do like a food plan. Yeah. Something that you can. How do
I want to eat for my life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For life. Yes.
Eating for life, not for the wedding that you have coming up in 3 months or something like that.
Because I just feel like whenever there's like this demarcation of like, oh, I did it, I finished it, I accomplished it, you're just like, oh, I earned something. That's how we think, right? Like humans, we're very good at like,
you don't need a reward. You're eating for
I
life.
rewarded myself. Yeah.
There's a time and place for it. But
Yes.
Yeah. And then like knowing and understanding what will throw off your consistency. Like it's going to be
ready.
different for everybody. What will throw off my consistency is not necessarily going to throw off Ryan's, you know?
Yeah. And have a plan for that, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like
you need
just
to have,
general.
the mental resilience of it.
Yeah. Like if I broke my leg, I would know right now. Like maybe 5 years ago, I might not have thought this way. I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to the gym. Like I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, it's not going to be as good, but I'm still going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be that dude in the cast. And people like, that guy, he has a broken leg.
People in wheelchairs at the gym.
Yeah.
Like,
It's resiliency. I think that's definitely the key. So, I think that's a wrap, as they say.
It's a wrap. Hopefully,
1 hour, 13 minutes.
Some takeaways from it.
I think so,
Yeah.
I think especially right now, if you're still listening, we appreciate
We
appreciate
you.
Yeah, we appreciate you if you're listening this long. And this, this has been Too Much in Common. We will be doing more episodes. And this is kind of the array of topics is like fitness, health, these kind of things. Kind of what we talked about today,
wellness,
generally.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I'll be talking about a lot.
Yeah.
And then come September, Ryan will probably be talking about bow hunting a lot.
We'll see. Definitely, if we will always, not like pander to the audience, but if somebody really has like a good show idea.
There's a topic.
Yeah, let us know. And we're not scared to bring a guest too. We'll probably have some guests. We could put them right here. We need another microphone, but we'll figure that out.
Maybe in the future we'll have some guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
A little trio of people.
Yeah.
Because we got some people.
I don't know. 3 might be a crowd. I just want to be with you, Ryan.
Oh. Well, yeah. Yeah, trust me. I already tried that one. It didn't work out. So.
What?
Okay, we should probably cut that. That might get interpreted very weird, but
I interpreted it the wrong way. Then.
I meant with Elliot when we tried to make him our boyfriend. But
yeah.
See,
we're cutting that part
yes,
out.
we would definitely cut it. But yeah, so we might, I have some friends that are physical therapists. We have a pharmacist friend, like these kind of things. So I think it'd be interesting to get some of their takes, depending on what the episode is, or like maybe even like Dusty. We could bring Dusty in here, the coach.
My coach.
That's kind of what we're thinking. But yes, thank you guys very much for listening. And until next time.
It's been too much in common.
That's right.